Hello everyone. Some of you have probably been wondering why we have not shown a final video of our new house. We showed a lot of the videos of the construction phase, but none of the final ones. You're about to see why. There was an awful lot of problems with the house when they were done with it. They rushed the closing, and because of that, we're paying a price, and it's not a happy price. I'm about to take the camera outside and show you a couple of the problems that were outside. And yeah, you see a cattail. That's a cattail. Remember the cardinal from a couple of weeks back? He's still beating the windows to death. And Tomo's up there trying to guard the windows. But anyhow, a lot of construction problems. I'm going to take the camera freehand for a little bit. For most of it, I'm going to put the camera on a tripod. There's going to be a lot of cutscenes simply because I'm walking all over the house and I know I'm no good handheld with the camera. Okay? So I want to put it on a tripod for most of this, just to show you guys how bad some of these things are. One of them I'm going to talk about right now is the subfloor upstairs. Mainly because it's going to be easier to do that. I can't show it properly. I can show you guys a couple of things upstairs, and I can show you the end result of it, but I can't explain it. So I'm going to do it here. Basically, the subfloor is made up of a bunch of wood panels, like these two books. Okay? And they're put side by side. Now, if they're not fastened side by side, when you walk on them, this is what happens. This one bends like that, then this one bends like that. Now you do have beams running underneath these floor panels, like this, but that still doesn't prevent this panel from flexing. Now there's a couple ways to compensate for that. You can do a tongue and groove panel where the panels interlock. That way they both have to flex at the same time. And they're less liable to do that if they're rigidly locked together. You could glue the ends together. Well, they didn't do either one on ours. So if you're standing on this panel, it does that. It's the way it is in the entire second floor, in every single spot. Some spots are worse than others, but for the majority of it, it does this as you're walking. And that's why furniture shakes, that's why the floor pops and creaks, that's why it's not level in spots. I can tell when I'm walking across it, it's not level. There's certain spots when the floor feels like this. It's a mess up there, a royal mess. The other problem we have is in quite a few places, you can just walk up to the carpet with 2 fingers and pull it up from the floor. It shouldn't do that. It was never attached to the floor correctly. So we have a lot of issues upstairs. Okay? We had some broken appliances. They have repaired the appliances. Well, I say supposedly because the vent hood was bad. They changed the vent hood, but they never reconnected it outside. So we can't use it. When we go to cook food, all the cooking odors come in the house. If you turn the vent hood on, the cabinet doors start vibrating because the air is being blown inside instead of outside like it's supposed to do. Yeah, do I sound upset? A little bit. We had an extremely high gas bill the first month. We had an extremely high gas bill the second month. What that means is something's wrong with the gas. Okay? When I say extremely high, we had a 2,700 square foot home that had a $40 gas bill. This home is much bigger, yes, but the gas bill doesn't go up to $200. We had a $200 gas bill and a small power bill, and that doesn't make any sense because, yeah, it just doesn't. Okay, so something's wrong somewhere there. I'm just tired. Let me get the camera and start moving around so I can show you guys what's going on. A lot of it is superficial. The floors upstairs are not. The gas is not, because that can be potentially a bad problem. I never smell gas leaks around the house. So if the gas is leaking, it's leaking either outside or it's leaking someplace sealed off. Could be. I don't know, it could be that cooktop just burns a lot of gas because we haven't used it in 2 weeks. So the gas bill could be lower because we can't use the cooktop. Let me go disconnect the camera from the tripod and walk around and show you guys some stuff. I'm going to start outside, okay? And like I said, there's going to be a lot of cutscenes. Back in a bit. Well, here's the first issue. We've got nails just sticking out of the fence. And bother to finish putting the nails back in. Okay? Now, I don't know how big of an issue that is, but it is there. We do have that problem. Alright? Now, walking around towards the front, it's a pretty windy, cold day out. I picked a bad day to get outside and do this, but I did. I mean, the house is beautiful, and it's going to be a beautiful house when they get these things fixed. They're just not progressing fast, and it's causing some issues. Now, down here at the bottom, there are gaps in the cement they used around the front of the house. Big gaps. I mean, there's a hole over there. It's not big enough for a mouse to crawl in, but ant colony could. There's another one right there. This is just shoddy workmanship. This is someone not supervising the workers as they build the house. That's what this is. Now, our doorbell. You can see the hole here, the hole here. They had a 25-cent doorbell on a house. This house is not cheap. This was a very expensive house. I'm not going to tell you the price we paid for it here, but if we were in Los Angeles, California, this would be a $2 million house easily. So you can extrapolate it where you live if you want. Okay? Because house prices vary across the country very much. We went and got this doorbell, they put it on. But because they put the cheap doorbell on and did it very badly, we are now left with holes in the concrete that are very visible. Okay? And there's the name of the builder in case someone wants to know who it is. We got yet another gap down there at the bottom that shouldn't be there, inviting insects and bugs and whatnot to come live in there. We shouldn't have that. Around here, it's warm most of the year. I don't think there's anything more going this way. Most of it's inside the house. But we live in a very warm environment here, which means you're going to have bugs and all sorts of stuff crawling in there. Oh, one other thing. The lot slopes down towards the car. Okay? And it slopes down towards the house. So they put this little valley in right here, and you can see it that goes underneath the car. When it rains, water stands there, and it takes a day or two for that to clear out. It doesn't clear out quickly. In this area right here, when it rains, floods. They built it, the landscapers built it up pretty good, so it's not flooding anymore. But we have a clay soil, and that clay just acts like a water trap. So water is being trapped underneath this bark mulch. And it's being trapped fairly well. It's not running off. They did some to try to mitigate it. We're going to see how long these plants live because the rainy season's upon us. And it's going to be hitting pretty soon. So we come into the house. Lighting's going to dim down because we are now inside the house. I can turn on some of the lights. But it's not going to mitigate. There's blue tape all over the house like this. Now, texture. Walls are supposed to be textured, correct? Well, you can see there is no texture in a spot right here like this. Again, that's shoddy workmanship. They were not even with the texture. In places, they just didn't care. And what happened there is the electricians, for some reason, drilled a series of holes across here to try to find a light switch or something, to try to find the wiring after sheetrock was done. And when they patched it, they didn't texture it. I don't know why they did that. It's just one of the things they did. Okay? And we got problems like this all over the house. Here's another one right here. I mean, they're just all over the house. And it's not just one or two of them. The entire house is covered that way. There's some little paint spot down there where they got the paint on the trim. I'm going to have to mark that. And we got lots of these little spots like this where they got paint and stuff on the trim. This thing, yeah, I'm going to go get something. Just show you what's up with that. We have this in a couple of places in the house. Now you can see on this wall where they did come out and do some texture work. They've done a little bit of texture work here trying to repair things. But we've been in the house 2 months, and they've done very little to fix everything. They're just doing a little bit of it here and there. Carpenter square. You guys have seen me use this before, right? I put the carpenter square on the wall. Look at that. See that? Again, workmen were not supervised. Put the carpenter square on the trim plate at the bottom, and it's fine. Put it up here, it's not square. This is just shoddy workmanship again. Not being watched, not caring. Okay? That's all that is. Right here, we got it again. I put the carpenter square on here. Look at that. Now the problem is that goes all the way to whatever you call this at the bottom. That's not square either. And they did the tile after this, so the tile isn't square under there. So they got a major problem on fixing this one. And again, we paid an awful lot of money for this house. I don't expect stuff like that in what we paid for this house. Just don't. Fortunately, my office is somewhat in a good shape, so I don't have a lot of problems with my office. Okay? The only real problem we're having in this office is there's a crack in that corner. And that crack was there when we moved in. That's not the house settling. That's someone who didn't care and didn't caulk things. Okay? Just didn't care. Another problem we had in the office, and I think they fixed it. No, they didn't fix it properly. Look at this window. There was a hole in the window right here. They didn't even bother to fix that correctly. So they're going to have to come fix that too. So I'm moving on to the kitchen. Okay? I'm going to turn on some lights in here. So we have some lights. Now they did change out the dishwasher, they did change out the oven, they changed out the vent hood. But when they changed out the vent hood, they scratched the crud out of the cabinets, and they haven't fixed that. Second, the vent hood isn't connected to the outdoors. Third, we asked 3 times not to put knobs up here. They put knobs. Speaking of knobs, can anyone tell me what's wrong with those 2 knobs? They're not even remotely level. And the guy, when he put the knobs in, scratched the crud out of the cabinets in many places. It's just shoddy workmanship again. So we got scratches all over the cabinets, and we just moved in, and the scratches were there when we moved in. Here's another example of the scratch. They've hidden this right here. But under right lighting, zoom a little bit, you can still see it. You guys can see that still. That's just shoddy workmanship. Just shoddy workmanship. Speaking of shoddy workmanship, let's look at this star on the backsplash. Okay? Cracked here, cracked here. The gap here is nowhere near the same size as the gap down here. Okay, let me go back over this because I don't think I was pointing the camera correctly. You see the cracks? Okay, this is marble. I know it wasn't cheap. It's cracked here again. Nellie wants this tile level behind it, and for the most part it is. There's just a few places where it's not, like right there and right there. That doesn't bother me so much. But what bothers me is the fact that they didn't get the border even, and the spacing's not even, and they broke the pieces as they were doing it. And instead of getting new pieces, they put in the broken pieces, and you can see they were broken. Okay, so there's a problem there. Now here, the door is not centered. Who doesn't center the door? So we centered the clock, not the door, and it looks funny, and it's going to look funny for the next however long this house exists. That's a mess. Walking out back, why do we have a brick strap sticking out on the back porch? That shouldn't be there. Okay? And walking around out here, yeah, well that can be patched. I know that can be. what really gets me about the back is they never told me they don't put gutters in the back of the house. You look at my neighbors, every single house here has gutters all the way around them. We don't have gutters in the back of the house. Now, why is that an issue, you might ask? It is an issue because the flower beds get beaten to death by the rain coming off the top of the house. We can't put flower beds on the back of the house because of this. I gotta have gutters installed. I gotta pay to have gutters installed. Had they asked me and told me it was extra, I would have done it, but I wasn't even told it was extra. They just didn't bother to put gutters in. Okay? Just didn't bother. And that bothers me some. Our back porch isn't big enough, can you tell? We're getting that fixed. Okay, let's go inside. Again, they've been doing texture work here. We're going to the master bedroom. Now, this was a mess. They fixed some of this already. You see the ceiling tray up there? I wanted to put some LED light strips in there and light up the ceiling tray. The problem I had is that they're supposed to put a socket up there in that corner for me to wire, and it was supposed to be wired down to the switch down here. And they told me, yeah, we did that. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Well, I'd click that switch, nothing would happen. It's not supposed to. But I noticed my lamp over here on this side, there's a plug behind that lamp. Only half that plug worked. And when I got an electrician out here, he said, yeah, it's because that switch is tied to that lamp. That wall switch over there is tied to that lamp. That wall switch is supposed to be tied to the wire up there. He looked up there, the wire's just sticking out. That's not to code. You can't have a wire sticking out like that. That was supposed to be to code. So they have fixed that. Now that wire's in a box like it's supposed to be. It is tied to the switch down here like it was supposed to be. Okay, now one thing you can't see because they have come out and fixed this as well. There was paint all over every single light fixture in here. You can still see it on that towel bar. It is just completely covered with paint. Everything in all the bathrooms was completely covered with paint. Here's one place they missed, right there. Okay? They've been straightening that up. Now let's take a look at the master closet. Because it's kind of a mess, but you're going to see why it's a mess. Now, they did do this for us. There was originally just one bar, one clothes rack, and one shelf going around this entire big closet. And I wanted that upgraded. And the moment I saw them starting on it, I went and said, can we get two? And they said, you can do it after you move in. Well, they did come do it after we moved in, but everything's so torn up that they got to fix the drywall. Now, here's the problem. They're not fixing the drywall for a while, and then it's got to dry, and then they can paint it. So we really don't have a closet right now. There are some clothes in here, but when they come to fix it, everything has to be emptied out of this closet completely. And those of you with wives, what would your wife say if you took away her closet for 3 or 4 weeks? Now in here, we got a lot of texture problems in the master bathroom. One of the problems we did have is there was a hole in the ceiling right there, but they did fix that. So they are slowly fixing a few things. They're just taking forever. And we got more right here where it's just bad texture work, bad drywall work. You can see it up there. That is very bad drywall work. They didn't bother to sand anything. They didn't bother to fix it correctly. They just threw texture over it in quite a few places. Okay? Another problem we have is on a lot of these light switches. Yeah, you can see the gap where I can put my finger underneath that thing. I shouldn't be able to put my finger underneath a light switch like that. Right, Tomodachi? Yeah, the cats tend to follow me around the house. Okay, don't look at my aquarium. I got too many fish in it and I can't find a home for them. Okay, in here we had a lot of texture problems. You can see that they worked on the texture problems a little bit, but it leaves us this nice two-tone paint job around there, which would be good if I was building a model and we were having some sort of like paint color scheme going, but that's not what that is supposed to be. That's them fixing the texture work, and they're very slow at fixing this stuff. Very, very slow. There's a washroom. We have a cat who lives in here. You guys have seen her very rarely on video. Can't let her out because she pees on everything. Here's our master bedroom closet. It's supposed to be a bedroom, but right now this is our master bedroom closet. Okay? Which we have to hunt and pick through these piles of clothes to find what we're going to wear every day. Yeah, some of you are going to say we have too many clothes, but most of mine are t-shirts. T-shirts don't cost a whole heck of a lot. Here again, we got more of that. The drywall people just didn't give a damn when they were doing things. Line running right across the wall right here. Didn't seal anything. That window was completely covered with paint and texture. Okay? And the painters really didn't care. They left paint everywhere on everything. There's pink on the ceiling. Here's another fun thing we're having. Okay, look at that closet rod. I don't think it's supposed to be bending like that. Here's where some of my models are hiding, by the way. Because, well, I don't have a place to put them because I can't unpack the upstairs, where we're heading in a few minutes. Remember the screws sticking out on the fence? Well, we're walking towards the garage. I know it's dark, but that gets fixed with a switch. But look right down there. They didn't bother to finish the drywall down to the bottom. I know it's a garage. I didn't really care that they didn't bother to really try to finish the ceiling in here properly or the walls properly. It's a garage. But really, couldn't you at least cover up the bare wood? They didn't bother. There's gaps and all sorts of stuff in here. And what really gets me, and we haven't done anything with the garage yet, look right down there. In numerous places, I can find nails just sticking out like that. Again, that's unsupervised workmen and workmen who just don't care how they do things. Okay? Workmen who just don't care. Told you guys I wasn't going to go handheld. I did. Here's another example. They put the closet rod way back in the back of this closet. This is where it should have been. So now we got two. We got them to correct that. Okay, speaking of bad closets, we're going to show you this closet. Anyone see where that closet rod was? They have fixed this, but they got to patch the drywall up yet. That closet rod was much too far forward. You couldn't hang anything in this closet without it beating the door to death. That's just a problem. Now we come to the fun part, the stairs. We had them finish the stairs two times. Yeah, that's not supposed to do that. We had them finish the stairs 2 times. Here's why. The first time they did the stairs, they were beautiful. I mean, absolutely beautiful. They did it correctly. Everything was good. And then while someone was working on the upstairs, they spilled solvent on the stairs and ruined 2 or 3 of the steps. And someone stepped in the solvent and kept walking up and down the steps. So there were footprints embedded in the finish. Okay, you guys see those paint lines? Most of you build models, right? What if you masked your canopy on your aircraft like that? It's horrid. So they stripped the stairs and refinished them, and then they didn't do a good job, so they stripped them and refinished them again. And they still have not done a good job. It's spotty. That is spotty finish right there. That is a spotty finish. You put your hands down on it, there's dirt sealed in the finish. Now listen closely. Is it creaking? It's not finished correctly. Again, there's spotty finish right there. That is someone just not taking care when they do their job. The stair rails are not straight in quite a few places. Like when I get up here, you can see they're not straight if you take a good look at them. This one in particular is not straight. Okay? This is one of those spots where the carpet just pulls up with your fingers. Okay? Now walking this way, this is where the real fun is. You guys see the tape on the ceiling in the hobby room? You can see it right now because the light's not real bright outside. When they put the drywall sheet up, they put the mud down the seam of the drywall sheet to hide the seam. Then they textured. They didn't do the sanding step in between. So in the evening when I turn on this overhead lamp, all of it shows. I'm going to put some photos at the end of this I took with my camera. All of it shows. So you can see all of the seams on that one drywall sheet. Now I'm going to walk a little hard along here. First off, I shouldn't be able to stomp and have everything vibrating. Can everyone hear everything vibrating? That shouldn't happen. You hear it rattling? That's the spray booth rattling over there. This is just a mess. Okay, we haven't unpacked anything because these floors need to be redone. We're living in a mess up here. Now, in here, let's go walk quietly. Yep, there it was. You can hear it popping and creaking, and I'm walking on a tile floor. Tile floor should not pop and creak. And it's not the tile rubbing against the bathtub that's causing that, because it can do that. Right here, they put the plug too close to the closet, so their solution was to cut the plug cover. Literally. This part of the plug, this edge of the plug, was right against that wall. I don't even think it was in a proper outlet box, to be honest with you. That shouldn't have been done. That's unsupervised workmen. We got all sorts of ceiling problems in here where they didn't do the sheetrock correct. Speaking of incorrect sheetrock, if I come over here and you look at that arch, trace along the outside, it is not a circle. It's the kind of circle a 3-year-old would draw freehand. You can compare the edge to the window. The window is a circle, the edge wavers around a lot. We asked them to fix that the moment they did it, and they just let it go, let it go, let it go. Okay? Which is a mess. Now we're going into the home theater room. Most of this room was done right, although the floors do creak like they do everywhere else in the house. This room is suffering from the same thing. My big problem with this room is in this corner down here. We have the wiring for the home theater system. You can barely see it because the light doesn't get back there really well. This room's not supposed to be brightly lit. They never labeled that wiring. It's a 7.1 surround system with no labeling. So I have no idea which wire goes where. I just don't. So when you're trying to wire a stereo system, you got to know where things are going. So I'm going to have some fun with that. Plus, this is the plates they gave me for the speakers. Okay, that's not what I would expect to get for speaker plates. I would expect to get something else. I'm looking for them because I went and bought some. They're up here somewhere. I know I brought them up here recently. There they are. You know, this is what I would expect to find on the wall on a home theater system. This. If it was done properly. Not just a flat plate on the wall like that. I didn't expect that. Now, are these things expensive? They're $2 each. This isn't expensive. Wouldn't have cost them anything to do that. Okay, we're invading the mother-in-law's baby's room because this is BB's room. I walked past her dresser. Anyone see the flowers are vibrating as I walk by? And I'm not stomping hard, you'd hear it. Okay? They fixed a lot of the problems in this room finally. Everything was covered with paint. The texture was bad. They came in here and fixed most of this. They came in here and fixed most of this too, because there were just very obvious knife marks going across the wall. They are fixing things. They're just moving very slow, and the floor has me very, very concerned. Because even over in here, anyone see the flowers are vibrating? You can't because I'm vibrating the camera. But this will do it. Let me put the camera down on the dresser. I'm not stomping hard, and the camera's shaking on the dresser. This is also a room that has the carpet where you can just walk up to the carpet, tug on it a little bit. Okay, maybe it's not right here. Okay, maybe it's not right there. But there are locations all over the house where you can just tug on the carpet a little bit and it comes up. Well, I've done a walkthrough. While some of these things aren't particularly major, for the price we paid for this house, I really don't think I should be looking at improperly finished wood embedded with dirt. I mean, come on, the stain is not even on these two stairs right here. You can tell by looking at them, that stain is just not evenly done. It's just not. Okay? Speaking of which, I didn't show you guys this. Look at these marks on the stair rail. These were here when we bought the house. Okay? These chips run pretty deep in the stair rail too. They were there when we bought the house. It's just not right. That's going to happen over time, but the marks on the stair rail make the house look like it's 20 years old. And there's paint, dirt in the finish of the stair rail. I don't know if anyone can see it if I get up close to it. Maybe you can. But most of you know about paint, and you know you don't want dirt in your paint. Let's see if we can see it on the floor. Oh, you can really see it in the floor of the stairs. It's just full of dirt. It was not finished properly. Makes a great non-skid surface, but that was not what we were trying for. So, in conclusion, you guys can probably see why we've not really done a walkthrough of the house. It's a mess. The house is a huge, huge mess. And the subfloor issues upstairs keep us from doing anything upstairs. I can't unpack, I can't anything. I'm starting to get really, really upset about that. They've got to come through and fix that subfloor very soon. Anyhow, I'm going to quit there. Not much else to say.